Hello, everybody, and welcome to Feel Good Friday and Church at Home with Rachel. Today, I'd like to talk about names. Do you like your name? I am particularly intrigued by your names. Some of my subscribers and some of my commenters use their names, but a lot of you use handles or different names to sort of keep your privacy on the internet, things like that. And I understand that. But it always intrigues me what people have as names. I was doing a baptism prep the other night. We're talking about the names we're given and the idea that, when we're baptized in church, it's like the birthday of our faith life and encouraging people to light a candle. We've baptismal candles, and we encourage people to, light the candle on the anniversary of baptism every year and think about the promises you made or the promises that were made for you. But then that also got me thinking about some practices where a Christian name is given at baptism. I know a few people who are Catholic who have a name they go by, but their Christian name is like a saint's name, and then the name they go by. So I might be like Catherine Rachael Louise Parker. I don't have the name, but if that was the case, like named after Saint Catherine, and then I've got my normal names, my user friendly names. My name is just Rachel Louise Parker, and I'm cool with that. But I got thinking about how we use names and the power of names. A name can stop everybody in a high school. You're walking down the hall, and somebody yells out the name Adam. And for just a split second, every guy in the hall named Adam will stop. You have the power to attract their attention by using their name. And our names are really important to us. Some people really don't like their name, so they change it. I was listening to a speaker the other day named Priscilla Shire, and she was talking about when she went to high school. She went from a private, very small private Christian school, where there were just a few kids in class, to a massive high school. And there was one kid she knew there, and when she first went, she said, I know you know my name is Priscilla, but I want to be called KD, or something like that, KC, or we'll say it's KC so we don't think about craft dinner. So KC, and that's what she wanted to be called all through high school. And she talked about the fact that throughout high school, that's what she was called. And even now, if she's running through the grocery store or if she sees somebody in the airport and they call her KC, she knows where she met them. She met them back in high school because for that period of time, that's what she named herself because she thought it would be cool. And she talks about one day she was sick, and so the school nurse called her mom and said, can you come and pick up your daughter? And she got there and she said, I'm here to pick up Priscilla. And the school nurse was like, well, we don't have Priscilla here. What do you mean you don't have Priscilla here? You called me, my daughter's sick. Oh, you mean KC? And her mother, who knew that she was doing this, but told her, like, this is just for a lark here. You're not doing this forever. Told her, you have been given a name. It's a good name. And you will live by that name. What you do here is fine. But for the rest of your life, you live by the name you were given. For a little while, she was allowed to experiment, but then she had to go back, and then she was glad she did. And I've thought about that a lot. When I was a kid, my grandfather's mom, my great-grandmother, named her children, and they had these beautiful first names, and they all went by their second name. So I believe my aunt Lenore, her first name was Susan, but she went Susan Lenore, and she went by Lenore. And I can't remember what my Uncle Royden or my Uncle Clarence first names were, but they were really beautiful. My grandfather's name was Elmer Ray, but his first name was Joseph Elmer Ray. I love the name Joseph. And because it was supposed to be special or something, and it didn't want a child to have their head get big, they were called after their utilitarian names, in this case, Elmer. And it was just an interesting thing that the way we treat names, of how we approach them. But names are so very important. The name that we have does in fact influence who we become and how we think of ourselves. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be named Sarah. And I thought if I ever write a book and I'm going to have a pseudonym, my name would be Sarah. I would use the name Sarah. I don't know why. I think it always sounded so gentle. And my name is Rachel, but it's fairly harsh. It's not an easy name to... it's pronounced wrong all the time. Rachael, Rachael. I used to get Rachael. People would turn it into really weird things. And my mom absolutely hated it when people would shorten it to like Rach. Even through closed windows, she could hear my friends calling me Rach, and she'd open the window and holler at them. Her name is Rachel. It's a natural thing for us to want to shorten names, it seems, to create nicknames. But at the end of the day, the name that we are given, the name that we live into, is the name that really does define us. Now, there are times in Scripture, which I find absolutely fascinating, when names are changed. Abram becomes Abraham. Sarai becomes Sarah. Who else? There's Gideon becomes Jerubbaal, fighter of Baal. Jacob becomes Israel. And each of these times they are renamed, these people are renamed, it is because something big has happened in their life. They have struggled with God, or they have struggled on behalf of God. A new promise, the promise of a new time is coming. Abram becomes Abraham when the promise that he will become the father of nations, untold nations. And Sarai becomes Sarah when she finds out she's about to become a mother. Jacob becomes Israel when Jacob struggles with the angel who puts his hip out of joint. These moments of renaming seem to come when we have walked through difficult times and we look back on our lives and we realize, I am no longer the person I once was. I think that's pretty fascinating. I wonder how many people actually do want to change their names, or they pick something else. My husband's name is Rob. He was born, when he was a little guy, he was Bobby. And for his nieces and nephews, he's Uncle Bob, or Uncle Bob, or Uncle Bobble. People call him that. But I can tell where Rob was in his life by what people call him when they see him. Some people call him Robert. Those are usually, I find, the people who knew him, who met him when his grandfather was still alive, because his grandfather's name was Robert. And it's a generation of people who respected his grandfather and so called him after his grandfather, called him Robert. When I met him, he introduced himself as Rob. And then one of the first people in his family I met was I knew him already, but didn't realize was his dad, who called him Bob, and his mom, who called him Bobby. And that, to me, was completely foreign. His name is Rob. He told me his name is Rob. I've now come to understand that the different people he meets in his life, the people who speak of him in my hearing, what they call him is where he was when he was in that space. A lot of people in the church who are senior in the church, call him Robert, because when he was being ordained, he was ordained Robert John Parker. That understanding of what a name is, the power it has over us, the power we have with our name, the ability to change our lives with our name. When my nieces and nephews call me Auntie Rachael, that's completely different than being Reverend Rachael. The name hasn't changed, but the way of speaking the name has changed. And I find it really fascinating that the name, this part of who we are, becomes such a part of our fabric, that it really is inextricable. Casey couldn't be known forever as Casey because her name was Priscilla. Rob is still Rob, whether he's Bob, Bobby, Uncle Bobble, whatever the people might call him. At the heart of who he is, he's still Rob. He's still that person whose name has grown with him. Someday, who knows, maybe I will change my name. Someday maybe I'll write a book under a pseudonym, and I'll probably use the name Sarah because it speaks to me. But at the heart of it, when I go right through everything, I love my name, Rachael. It means you, Lamb of God, a lamb. And if there's anything I would want to be in God's eyes, it would be a lamb, someone that Jesus came to comfort and take care of, to collect and to protect. And the idea of being protected by one such as Jesus is very powerful to me. And so I think I am aptly and appropriately named. How about you? How does your name make you feel good or not? Do you need to change your name? Does your name have things attached to it that you'd rather forget about? And how can I help you change your name? If you speak to me with one name and tell me you want to be called something else, then I'll do that. I'll hang in there with you. I'll figure it out. It might take some time. I might make some mistakes, but I will honor what you tell me your name is. because your name is yours to give. It is yours to share. It is yours to determine, just as your life is yours to give, to share, and determine. What names have you been given in your life? Which ones make you happy? Which ones make you feel good? My name, Rachel, makes me feel good. So does Auntie Rachel and Sweetie and Pumpkin and Angel and all those things that I get called by my husband when he's in a good mood. Those are all things that make me feel good. Think on those things this weekend. Think on those things that make you feel good. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you on Sunday for Gospel on the Go. If you want to watch the church, the prayers, the sermon and prayers, it will also be at Church at Home. And for Gospel on the Go, I'm going to post them from now on, I think, for a while anyway, both the Sunday stuff on Church at Home and on Gospel on the Go, because I know there are some people who don't like to wade through all the Monday to Friday stuff, so they can go directly to Gospel on the Go. But for those of you who prefer to just stick with Church at Home, they'll both be there. My little experiment didn't fail, but it didn't work out the way I thought it would, so we're just going to use both for a while. So I'll see you Sunday at Gospel on the Go or here at Church at Home, and here on Monday for Church at Home with Rachel. God bless and have a great weekend, whatever your name is.